And there you are. Welcome, guys. Good to see everybody. We are here for another post disclosure. Happy holidays to everybody. And happy holidays to everybody. I hope everybody's having, has had, or is having a wonderful, wonderful season with your families, with your friends, with our loved ones. Hope that everybody is enjoying and many, many blessings to everybody. Many, many blessings to everybody, guys. So, yep, we're here with just checking something here. We're here with my new. I'm wearing my new one of my new sweaters. One of the new Mister Rogers sweaters. Before we start, guys, let's see who's in the house. And welcome to. Let's see. Of course, Argo's in here. How you doing there, buddy? Little green buddy. Maz is in here. Look, Maz is kicking. Maz is kicking ass. She is kicking ass and taking names. All that wonderful, wonderful music that she's putting out. Brother Lee Charles in here. Good to see you, Brother Lee. Thanks for popping in and saying hi, my friend. Let's see. Saying hi to each other. John Beagle Dad, good to see you. Ready to rock. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, John. Merry Christmas to you, John. And to the pup and the family and everybody. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. And all right, and lots of people popping in here. All right. All right, the team over there. So, guys, today we are going to be talking about something that all you guys are familiar with, which is the Travis Walton case. Now, the Travis Walton case is one of the oldest, one of the oldest in current times, one of the oldest sighting and abduction experience. Let's call it experiencers. Hello, Thomas. Good to see you, my friend. Happy holidays to you, my friend. Awesome to see Thomas. Good to see you, Thomas. And the Angular Boys in here. Wonderful to see all our friends in here. Wonderful to see all our friends. We are. It can't be that cold. Yeah, hit that like and subscribe, please, guys. It helps the channel. And we are in the process of launching Inspiration. Lots to come, guys. Lots to come. All right. So I was talking about what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Travis. You guys all remember, obviously, who Travis Walton is. He has kind of dedicated his life to helping people understand his experience and helping people understand his experience, better understanding himself, his experience, and helping other people understand their experiences too, vicariously, right? In that sense. So he's a very interesting guy. Seems like a very wonderful guy. We don't know him personally. Of course, we do know. Let me just pull up a picture here. This topic is near and dear to us over here on Orphanation and Inspiration, because of course we did. We were doing some interviews with Tracy Torme. Tracy Torme was the writer producer, along with Travis. He was the writer, and along with Travis. Tracy, of course. Let me just pull up a picture of Tracy. Tracy's a wonderful human being. We were, of course, doing. Um, we were, of course, doing interviews with Tracy. Well, Gil was. We were doing on Gil's channel, Cardinal Sin's channel, and more like Gil was doing them because Gil wanted me to participate. I was kind of busy, but I was there as often as I could be in a supporting role, and it was really Gil who was doing this stuff, and of course Tracy. If he sounds familiar, the surname sounds familiar. Hold on. Let me just put up a picture of Tracy. Tracy, of course, if he sounds familiar. That's not what I wanted to share. Hold on a second. If he sounds familiar, Tracy was Mel Torme's son. Actually, I'm going to leave this up. There he is. There he is with his dad. Actually, right here. There he is. There he is with his dad, in his dad's arms. It's Tracy passed away last year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago. And wonderful human being. He was a Star Trek. He wrote for Star Trek. He wrote Fire in the Sky, which was the movie about Travis Walton. And not enough. There's not enough you can say about Tracy. His very, very down to earth human being. Very generous. Very generous with his time. Very kind. Very thoughtful. And he would tell us about Fire in the Sky and the Travis Walton story, and he told us some of the differences that the movie compared to the movie compared to the reality, right? The reality of the situation. So, good to see everybody in there. Hey, Nemesis, good to see you, my friend. Good to see Nemesis in here. Lots of friends in the chat. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit that like. Appreciate you guys popping in here. So yeah, Tracy would give us his insights on when he was often on there with Gil on Cardinal Sin channel, and of course Gil also passed away. So yeah, so rest in peace, you guys. Although I'm sure these guys are up to something. I'm sure they're not resting. Like so many of our friends who have passed. So anyway, what we're going to talk about is 50 years after this occurred, was a couple months ago where Trace, well, no, weeks ago, where Travis has done an interview with one of the original one of the original stations in Arizona, and I think this is I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Fox 10 Phoenix, and we're going to take a look at that. One of the original, so the original reporters are not around, but what we're going to see is we're going to see the interview and them talk. They're talking to the same television station. Excuse me, they're talking to the same television station. The television station has since been, rebranded, right? From what it was 50 years ago. But they're going to go ahead and show some original footage that hasn't been shown in a while. So, it's brief footage with Travis. And we're going to listen to little pieces of the interview. I don't want to, what I want to do is direct you guys to go ahead and watch the whole thing yourselves. Hey, Wallace, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for popping in here. Doc Civil, good to see you. Thank you for popping in here, guys. Awesome to see all our friends in here. Awesome to see all our friends. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And wonderful to see all you guys. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, whatever you guys are celebrating. Whatever you guys are celebrating. All right. Let's go take a look at the interview. Actually, before we do that, I want to see. I'm gonna play the Fire in the Sky trailer, and I'm gonna play it tiny because it's a Paramount. It's Paramount, and you guys know how evil Paramount can be with copyright strikes and stuff. So I'm gonna play a little. I'm gonna play the Fire in the Sky trailer first in miniature. In miniature, we're gonna play it without sound. And let's see, PJ, a little rusty. I gotta do this more often to be less rusty. So just gonna. There we go. So actually, let me get Paramount off the screen there. All right.
How does it think? What makes it move? What?
So I'm going to give you a little brief moments of volume here, but you guys are seeing this, right? Yeah. So this is the Fire in the Sky trailer. That the picture that was put together by Tracy, our friend Tracy Torme, and let me just do a little pause there, so Paramount doesn't go crazy on us. And just wanted to take a look at this, a quick look. It's very short, the original trailer, and shows the experience. It's a little the movie has been tweaked, right, for creative purposes. And Tracy would tell us that, and Travis talks about it too. There was like he didn't see, like I think he said he didn't see like dead bodies in there, and it's interesting to now how he goes back, and he is like when he goes back to it now in his mind, he feels differently about it. He actually feels, and we're going to hear him talk about how he feels that he did something stupid. He feels like he did something that was not a good idea, to walk up to this, because he gets out of there because they're in a vehicle in the forest, and these guys are lumberjacks, and he literally gets out of the car and walks up very close to the UFO that they're seeing, right? And he feels differently about it because he gets zapped. He gets zapped by a ray, and he falls back, and he becomes unconscious, right? And it's interesting because he has a very different point of view now. He kind of feels like he did something stupid, and curiosity killed the cat, in this case Travis, and he feels like he was taken on board and fixed by them, because, and it's interesting because some people would like to hire as much of the Orville cast as I can to voice an Orville animated fan film developing. Does anyone? Wow. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting, Doc. Reach out to me on Twitter. my friend. That's very interesting. I mean, if you want to try to do something like that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think actors are going to be, especially these actors, maybe older actors, but I don't know if they're going to be. I would imagine they would be reticent to cautious about it. Um, if the shows are coming back, well, the shows are coming back. It is coming back though. It is coming back. But yeah, but reach out to me. I mean, reach out to me, Duck Civil, on Twitter, um, on the inspiration. Um, Lady Mist, hello. How are you, my friend? Good to see you, Lady Mist. Awesome to see you, my friend. And your big fan is not around. He's not around here anyway. I don't see him. But if he were here, I'm sure he'd say hi. I think he's in the chat. Yeah, hold on one second. Let's put that. So PJ Twitter, inspiration Twitter is right here. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of problems. Thank you for that comment, Wallace. There's all kinds of problems that it's interesting because I mean, if you're going to start talking about some of the older Star Trek actors got to a point where they didn't care, and they started doing that film. Hello, lovely Sherry. Good to see you, my friend. Happy holidays to all you guys. All right, getting back to what we're talking about. But reach out to me, Doc Civil. I wouldn't mind discussing it on Orville Nation. So let's see. Want to get to PJ. Very rusty. Give me one sec, guys. Give me one sec. Very, very, very rusty. That's true. That's true. That's the one thing. That's the one advantage that you might have in your favor. Someone now there could be smart, intelligent ways of doing it too. There might be smart, intelligent ways of doing it, Doc Civil. So let's see. I think I got too many windows open. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go to Fox. We're going to go to the Fox 10 Phoenix channel, YouTube channel, and PJ remembers his streaming skills. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't streamed in a while, and got StreamYards mixing up a little bit. Guys, feel free to share it out. We are on the new channel and on the Inspiration channel, and we're also on Orville Nation. But feel free to share it out, guys. Appreciate it. And please hit that like if you get a second to do that. Okay, there we go. So this is the Phoenix 10 channel, right? It's got 532,000 subscribers, and this is obviously Phoenix, Arizona area. This is so this is the area where Travis lived and worked. And again, this is the original television station that interviewed, well, one of the original television stations that interviewed Travis when this all happened. Of course, this has been rebranded. I don't think it was a Fox. Well, it wasn't a Fox back then. There wasn't a Fox back then, television station. But and this is a show that's on Fox 10 Phoenix, and it's called Unknown. And there's these two guys here. So there's these two guys here who run the show, and these two gentlemen right here, Trenton Hooker and Brian Webb. And I'm gonna put the link. Let's see. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Hey, FK8C, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for popping in here. Happy holidays. And so this is the link to to Phoenix 10. You're gonna watch the whole thing later. And there you go. Okay. So let's listen to a little bit, and we're going to comment. We'll listen to a little bit, and we're going to comment on. Let's listen to their intro.
Today, we're going to do a deep dive into one of the most interesting and infamous stories in Arizona history with our special guest, Travis Walton. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Walton, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, we want to go back to 1975, so 50 years last month. You were taken from where you were in the forest and came back almost a week later with a tale, which was truly extraordinary. Now, if you could explain to us, just you were part of a logging crew.
Yeah, there were 7 of us.
Mm-hmm. So just another night combing in that forest. Can you tell us about what brought you out there and what you saw?
We've been putting in long days, needed to finish the contract. It was almost completely done, but a few more long days and we'd have it all done. And as we were headed home, we saw this glow coming through the trees. And at first I thought, no big deal. We knew it was deer hunting season. Could hear shots in the distance during the day. I thought maybe hunters camped up there on the hill or something. And when we got through the trees where we could see the source of the light, we saw this craft hovering there. And it was so shocking. All of us at once were just, I didn't say it's a UFO. Somebody else on the crew said that, but I thought it was going to take off. Just as soon as we came into view, that it'd just be gone. So that was the reason I jumped out and headed towards it, thinking just get a closer look before it gets away.
Describe it for us best you can.
Obviously, so the big issue here at the time was that Travis was just remarkably curious about this whole thing. Everybody else in the truck was scared to death, apparently. And well, obviously they were more scared when they saw what happened to Travis, but Travis got up and walked out. He opened the door and walked out. And they were yelling at him to get back in the truck. And not only did he get out, but he walked up to it. And he was near it. And let's listen a little more.
Look like?
Well, it was a glowing metallic disc. And one thing was kind of distracting from studying the appearance of it was the glow, the way it shone on the brush and the trees and the ground, the way everything had a real strange look to it. Plus, the sounds it was making was completely off the range of human hearing on the high end and the low end. Very hard to describe, but a very pulsing and high frequency sound too.
So you get out of the truck and you're walking towards this craft. What your other crew that's there with you in the truck? What are they doing at the time as they're seeing you get out?
They're saying crazy SOP. I mean, excuse my language, but they were saying, "Come back, get away from there," and that would have been the smart thing to do.
Half walk, half ran right here. Started to be a little more cautious right here. I slowed down to a walk.
Now this is some of the original. This is some of the original footage after the event where this television station that was not Fox back then, had gone with Travis back to the area, and you see him here explaining to the reporter. Now, well, let's just continue. Wait, let's go back a little bit and listen.
But they were saying, "Come back, get away from there," and that would have been the smart thing to do.
Half walk, half ran right here. Started to be a little more cautious right here. I slowed down to a walk. and it was kind of cold. I put my hands in my pockets, and suddenly the sound got a whole lot louder, and it started to move. So I jumped down behind this log right here, which was up higher. And I jumped down like this, and I raised up, and I turned to go, and I just felt a numbing shock.
I didn't see what hit me. I just felt like I'd been hit by a truck. But the crew said this blast of energy came out of the craft, threw me through the air. And they said they were yelling to each other, get us out of here. He's dead. He's dead. And they were all convinced that it.
Now, I do want to say, because this has come up so many times. This came up so many times in the investigation when Travis disappeared, and afterwards too. A lot of people asked, and he was very close to some of them, right? And people asked why would they leave him there? And first of all, they were all scared to death. And when they saw that he was hit by some kind of, energy ray, their initial gut, their knee-jerk reaction was, "Oh my God, he's dead. Let's get out of here." So, well, let's continue.
Because the way my body landed like a wet rag, it was just completely limp.
Wow. So you were out of it at that point. What do you remember next?
I just woke up. I thought I was in a hospital. I dimly remembered encountering the craft, but I thought, well, they must have taken me to the hospital. So I couldn't focus very clearly. I was in a lot.
Yeah, dude, I'm running it at 125 for certain reasons.
A pain, head and chest area. And I could see these forms around me. I couldn't quite make out, but it seemed to me like they were doctors. Maybe they're wearing surgical caps and gowns where only their eyes were exposed. But when I could clear my vision better, I could see that these weren't doctors, that these were these creatures that were looking at me.
What's your first thought when you realized that these are not human beings that you're looking at?
Well, that was the total impression that I have of the whole experience at that time, is that these are horrible monsters, and this pain that I'm feeling is being inflicted by them. It was only later that I realized that perhaps I had misunderstood.
Now, I don't know how long it took. Excuse me. I don't know how long it took him to process this. I think it's a matter of years, right? In reality, and maybe decades. But we're going to see him. We're going to hear him start to talk about that. Maybe he had not interpreted things correctly right off the bat, and it was such a traumatic experience that he thought, of course, that the pain that he was feeling and everything that had happened was being inflicted by these beings. He also later talks about how the beings had no expressions on their face, and he also talks about, and we're going to hear him talk about that later, I think, if we listen to the right portion, about human beings. Generally, when people don't exhibit emotion, either facially or otherwise, human beings interpret that as that person being hostile, or being cold, right? And he also then talks about how some of these beings had telepathy, had telepathy, excuse me, and how, well, if you have telepathy, you probably wouldn't have to be very expressive, right? So, hey, Frakoff, hail. The bridge up was really interesting. All right, let's continue. Hail, Bradley. Thank you for joining us, guys.
I was screaming all kinds of questions at him and getting no response whatsoever. But one thing I've heard in other reports is their expressionlessness. And humans have a tendency to, when we see that in other people, to interpret that as hostility. But
there you go. He's talking about it right now. Excuse me. This is a pretty long interview, actually, for Travis. is for being on television?
If they're telepathic, they don't need smiles or frowns or any sorts of things. Their communication with each other is probably much richer than ours is with vocal communication. But I think probably because of the injury hitting me in the head and chest, that it somehow interfered with any kind of telepathic reassurance, if that's what they were wanting to do.
It must have been terrifying. I mean, did you get the sense, did you try to get away somehow? Were you strapped down?
I jumped up this thing they had over my chest. I was feeling a lot of pain in my chest. Are they doing this to me? No, they were fixing something that I had caused by sort of very negligently getting too close and becoming injured. But at that time, I had contributed all the pain, and I felt like I was dying. I felt it was because of them. But over the years, it took me to figure out that that doesn't fit in with everything else that happened, that they returned me at all. I mean, they could have dumped my body somewhere and never said a word, and the crew would have been hung for murder, and that'd been the end of it if total secrecy was all they was their top priority.
Now, it's interesting because in recent years, they're like that documentary with what's the gentleman's name? Pilates, about the 411, missing people in national forests, people missing in national forests, and there's even talk about people of German descent missing. And very interesting. Anyway, there's all, that whole topic is a whole big thing, but scary as hell. Yeah, scary as hell. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Thomas. But it's interesting how he reevaluates this, and they didn't have to return me, right? But they did. And I wasn't harmed. I was, when I was returned, it seems like he was okay. There's one interesting interpretation. There are cases where people have gone up to a craft, right? And there are times when people have gone up to a craft and gotten radiation poisoning or hurt or something. What if, and this is interesting, what if he was zapped? What if he was zapped for his own safety and not so he wouldn't get any closer to the craft? So he wouldn't get, maybe because he wouldn't get hurt by some kind of, who knows, effect of the craft on the human body, or maybe he was already too close and they zapped him to fix whatever damage had been done. Well, let's keep listening.
But I think that these beings are probably capable of everything they're doing here and remaining completely undetected. I think the sightings and experiences people have on the fringes, on the outer limits of what's accepted, is intentional.
Really?
I think it's having the purpose, whether they mean to or not. I think, in my view, probably the reason for it is to get us used to the idea. We're not the end-all, be-all. And I think we'd behave a lot better towards each other if we acknowledge the fact that there's always greater and lesser intelligences than us, and they're getting along just fine. So why can't we? At any one time, we've got over 100 wars going on, and there's no reason for that.
The only 2 times in our life we don't think is when you sneeze and have orgasm.
Sneeze and have orgasm. Okay, interesting commercial.
So you're in the craft, you're having this experience where you feel like they are repairing your injuries with what's happening. What are the next moments that you remember?
Well, I was, felt I was under attack, and I was grabbed up an instrument. I didn't study it all. I was just grabbing something I could fight them with, and I was lashing out at them, and they just turned and left the room. No sound, no explanation, no nothing. So I went looking for a way out, and encountered a human-looking being who took me out of the craft. And I thought, well, this was a rescue, maybe some U.S. military or something of that nature. But
Do you remember what he looked like?
Well, he was tall and muscular, had a tight-fitting blue uniform, no insignia, but he had a helmet over his head. And I figured that maybe the reason he wasn't answering me is because he couldn't hear with that on. So, but he looked human. That was much more reassuring to me. So when he took me by the arm and led me out of there, I was only too happy to go.
I bet. And did you get any sense of what the other beings looked like, or how big they were, or any other features?
Well, they were small and huge heads and very large eyes. But, you know, when I was lying on my back, they were still above me and in a very weakened condition. So I was terrified. But, you know, I've heard other descriptions of these types of beings being small, hairless, huge cranium.
Has anybody in the chat seen any similar beings? Anybody in the chat want to share? There are people out there who have. Lots of people, actually. Maybe we will interview more people like that. The other being, is the other being a hybrid? Interesting.
Yeah, that occupied my nightmares for a while.
Is it hard to talk about to this day?
Yeah, it is. I don't go there willingly. It's not something I live day to day in around home. I've got a big family, and that's my primary interest.
Now, even though it's interesting because he, this is from a psychologist's point of view. It's interesting because he doesn't go there willingly, which is understandable. He has reinterpreted what has happened as probably being something positive that happened due to his mistake of being so curious. It's interesting that what I'm getting at is how, to what a level this was traumatic to him. It was so traumatic that even though he has, it's interesting because it's so traumatic that even though he has reinterpreted what has happened as something generally positive, it was so traumatic that he still does not, go there willingly. Which is interesting because, when people talk about the shock aspect of disclosure, of course, this is not just disclosure. This is being kidnapped. This is being abducted, right? And even if they were trying to help him, he was abducted. I think it's better. I honestly think, and this might say something of how off-worlders view humans. Hey, Gap. Good to see you, Gap. Good to see you, Gap. Gap After Dark. Good to see you, my friend. How off-worlders see human beings, because if how much of an effort would it take to explain to the people, how much of an effort would it have taken? This is a good debate sometime, by the way. This is a really good debate to have. If, what kind of, just putting a little bit of effort into communicating and trying to help him understand, but not doing that, and not all, but many of these abduction cases have, don't have that kind of level to level communication. And it's almost like, and it is very much like biologists or anthropologists, tagging wild animals or trying to help them. And sometimes there's not an ability to communicate. There's definitely an ability to communicate here. For sure, Wallace. Absolutely, Wallace. Thank you for sharing that comment. It is fascinating. So I do think it is fascinating, Gap. I do think it says something about how some of these off-worlders see humans. Then again, also there's also the possibility. There's also the possibility that what has happened to many people, or even to Travis, it's a possibility that that some of these are, some people have said that some of these that there are abductions that are, government secret program government abductions, with the goal being, I don't know, to desensitize people. Who knows? Then something, and I'm not even going to get into that now, but like 3 types of short communities are quite inquisitive: pale green, orange, yellow, pale green. They're very temperamental. Orange, more psychotic. Yellow, white, pacifist, turn eventually. Okay. And hey, good to see you guys. Thank you. Thank you for popping in here, guys. All right, let's continue.
Some activity.
Can I ask you real quick too, as you were walking through the story and you were describing where even incidents today were just the human ability to even talk about these things, to put them into words. How is that, with describing these moments? Does it feel like we even have the capacity to explain to another person, here's what I saw and here are the details?
Yeah, I've made a lot of adjustments. At the time I was, sort of trying to pleading with people, believe me, I'm telling you what happened. There was a lot of doubt. People, unfortunately, they believe what they prefer to believe. And I've come to a kind of a philosophy about that, that it all comes down to facts and reasoning. Are your facts true and accurate, complete, and is your reasoning valid? Any sort of emotional reaction you want to have to that has no business affecting the outcome of your judgment.
Now, it's interesting that this case, his colleagues and Travis as well were all given lie detector tests, and they all, they passed. And he does talk about it further down, except for one of the 2 times that there was one of the guys on his crew got into a fight with him, like that day or that morning or the day before, something like that. And that guy who had gotten into a fight with him was afraid of being accused of murder. And on one of the two lie detector tests that guy took, he got to a point where he got frustrated and took it off and left or something like that, because he was afraid that he was going to just be blamed for Travis's disappearance. And then I think he passed again, and obviously he didn't do anything with Travis. And getting into a fight, didn't mean that this guy would do anything. Let me we're gonna put it up a little bit, move it up to here. Commercials brought to you by the Times of London.
E-team was there and spoke to your brother about your arrival back in Arizona and what happened.
Now his brother, so he goes into a. Let's listen to this. Let's put it back a little bit.
In the country, such a pleasure to have you here, and we're going to get back to your arrival here back on Earth in just a minute. But you're watching Unknown. Stay with us. Travis Walton here telling his story.
Now, Travis comes back and he's left in the country.
One of the most famous,
and he somehow manages to find a payphone and call his brother, and his brother picks him up
last month. And of course, we had talked about your experience being taken onto a craft, and then 5 days later, you were back in Arizona. Can you tell us real quick that moment of, like you said, getting off the craft and then trying to go find help?
I ran down, found a telephone booth, and made a phone call. I just must have passed out. I didn't wake up until my brother picked me up and put me in the truck. But he was talking about how concerned my mother was, something in the exchange there made him say, "Travis, feel your face." And I felt, and I had a 5-day growth of beard. He says, "You've been missing for 5 days." And that was an additional shock for me because I had no idea. I only had a conscious period of, just a matter of minutes or less than an hour.
I was just going to ask. So that 5 days felt like an hour,
Yeah.
basically. Wow.
So I was unconscious. And I don't know where that conscious period was, immediately after being struck or later in the period or towards the end of it. I don't know.
And you felt like at some point they were trying to heal you. At that point, did you feel better physically?
Well, I came to that realization later. I was very anxious about the after effects, had a variety of medical tests. I'm concerned about, I threw myself into work to kind of shut out the memory. So I, worked overtime every day, took all the days off that I could, working those days. And yet never called in sick one time in all those years afterwards.
Well, one of this, of course, your brother.
Yeah, Gap. Actually, we were talking about that at the beginning of the stream. That our friend Tracy Torme, who was the Star Trek writer, he wrote the movie with Travis. Tracy Torme, and Travis wrote it, and Tracy helped produce it. And I forget who the director was right now, but absolutely, that's Fire in the Sky. It's exactly what we're talking about.
That picked you up. This is Dwayne, right?
Yes.
Who did. Now, of course, here at Fox 10 before, in the early 90s, we were, previous to that, Cool TV, which was the station here for Channel 10 in Phoenix. Now, 5 days.
Just a shout out to Man Hands, James the Man Hands Ricard from Seinfeld. Good to see you, my friend. Awesome to see you. Happy holidays, my friend.
Same day that the press conference was called, on November 11th, 1975, our Cool TV team was there and spoke to your brother about your arrival back in Arizona and what happened. And we actually have that clip, which hasn't been broadcast in 50 years, if we can take a look.
He was on a craft of some sort. He had contact with beings of two different kinds or two different types of people.
So this is some of the resurfaced footage. I'm going to put it back. This is brother. And some of the resurfaced footage that was from the original television station. And that is what we are watching. Some of the resurfaced footage that has not been aired in 50 years. I think it's fascinating that these guys did a great job. These guys from the Unknown show on Phoenix 10 did a great job.
Arizona and what happened. And we actually have that clip, which hasn't been broadcast in 50 years, if we can take a look.
He was on a craft of some sort. He had contact with beings of two different kinds or two different types of people. And they were very much like people.
But they could converse with him?
And they didn't make any speech, no contact, either physical or mental. They didn't... no conversation whatsoever.
So, Travis, when you watch your brother there, what are your feelings seeing that? 50
Well,
years ago?
gratitude. I think he really saved my life with his protectiveness. He was a very strong person. He was a amateur boxer, a bull rider, and he wasn't going to be pushed around. And he took me to where I could get help, psychiatrists, medical help in the valley that I wouldn't have got had the local authorities gotten a hold of me.
Can I ask you a little bit more about that, sir? And just what did it haunt you for years to come, or how did you deal with it?
It was definitely something that dominated my nightmares and whatnot. And at the time, since I was interpreting this in terms of attacked by horrible monsters, it was worse then. It was only over time that I gradually realized that if they meant harm, they didn't have to return me at all.
If we could go back to that week, of course, where you're missing for those 5 days. And at the time, of course, the Navajo County Sheriff's Office has launched a search to look for you. Even that night, correct, that part of the other crew, they were going out with the sheriff to look for you at the site in the Apache.
Now we're not going to show the whole thing. We're gonna hop around now and just kind of hit some important points. I do want to remind you guys that that to go and watch this on your own. And even if you rewatch little portions of it, it is very interesting, and it is a very extensive interview of Travis.
Sitgreaves National Forest, but they had suspected, correct, that possibly you had met a foul end, that maybe you had been murdered.
Oh, yeah. And, it wasn't a harmonious group, one of the guys I'd had a fight with that morning before work, it was just some minor teasing about a girl that I was dating, that he went and told her stuff to try to get her to come over to him. But, it was just, it was a kind of a fight that ended when Mike came out and said, all right, guys, knock it off. Let's get to work. And, but, one of the guys, I'd only been on the crew for 3 days. So it wasn't a tightly knit group of buddies all sticking to their story or something, as some people tried to put it. But everyone stuck by what they'd seen throughout their lives.
And we should bring up the point about the lie detector test that you all passed.
Yes, every one of us passed multiple lie detector tests. I've taken and passed 5 different tests from various law enforcement agencies, people who test, the CIA, FBI, and that, and people who are skeptical about polygraph aren't very well educated.
Now, I will say that there was one time, I don't remember where it was. There was one time on that Travis was invited on to television somewhere, and they tried to make him look like a fool. And I do not remember. This is probably 10 years ago. But other than that moment where they tried to, and I forget exactly what the circumstances were, but other than that time that they tried to make him look like a fool, he has been, but even then, because if you kind of get to know who Travis is, you see right through the BS, right? But this guy has been such a credible, experiencer, witness, such a credible person throughout his life. And this has caused him, and especially back then, this has caused, to talk about it was, causing him pain and anguish and anxiety. This is not easy to talk about. Now it's probably a lot easier to talk about, and he's definitely much more respected and better treated now.
This is the technique that these agencies use to screen their own people when they're hiring.
Tommy.
And actually, if we
Good
could,
to see you, Tommy.
the press conference that was held that day with Arizona Department of Public Safety, where their state polygrapher came out and talked to the media about, you were telling the truth about what you saw. Your crew all had the same story, and here are the results. But we have that clip, if we can watch that right now.
They did, in fact, see something which they believe to be a UFO. And that is strictly what the polygraph proved, that they did, in fact, see something. It does not determine that there was, in fact, a UFO. It determines strictly that they did see something which they believe to be a UFO.
Now, so again, he's the results of the polygraph were basically indicating that these individuals were believing that they were telling the truth. Doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't necessarily mean this happened and this happened, but what they can definitely say for sure is that they all believed that they had this common experience.
Said 5 of the 6 tests showed conclusively that the men were telling the truth. The 6th was inconclusive. For Channel 10, Chuck Diamond, Cool News.
I'm a little bit annoyed by that one statement. One was inconclusive. Yeah. The guy I had a fight with,
of course it was him,
interrupted this test. He thought he was going to be the one that got hung for murder. So he interrupted
and this
the
is
test.
the gentleman right in the film adaptation of Fire in the Sky, who they showed was cutting that tree and looked like he was trying to hit you with it. That happened, right?
He did that. That really happened. But, he was angry that he thought he was going to be the one there pointing the finger at that time. The suspicion was murder. But it wasn't really inconclusive in any nature of the test. All of these tests were repeated 3 identical runs to the question. He jumped up, pulled off his sensors, and left after 2 complete runs. Okay. He did pass those 2 complete runs. And then he came back later with Cy Gilson and took a full test, which he passed. So the bottom line on him was he passed, not that it was inconclusive.
Important clarification for sure.
Now, can you walk us through just the moments of you're going to talk to the authorities? They have been looking for you. They thought you admit a bad end, or possibly you were murdered, and you have this incredible story and you're talking to them. What's the feeling that you have as you're talking to them about this, where I'm sure it can only be disbelief that they have on their faces?
Well, imagine the mixed feelings that they had, one of them describes walking down the street and having people yell out, murder, you know, that kind of stuff. Great amount of pressure. And some of my family members were exerting that kind of pressure against the men, on the suspicion that maybe they had killed me. And it was a mixture for me, you know, because then all of a sudden, it wasn't murder. It was, you know, are you crazy, a liar? You know, people love to say, you know, they love to drum up old incidents or something that fulfills their wish fulfillment, that it was something that was just made up. But it was definitely what happened, and it was very hard to cope with. The only thing that I've changed over the years is my interpretation.
I do want to address this comment of Gap. Yeah, dude, we were on Cardinal's channel with Tracy, who wrote The Fire in the Sky with Travis, and Tracy was on there. Tracy Torme was on with Cardinal so many times. I was there a few times. Cardinal really wanted. It was interesting. Cardinal back then wanted to, you know, he wanted to do a show together. Wanted us to do kind of like an Exozone show. That was when Doomcock and Nerdrotic had ceased working together, and Cardinal wanted us to do something to fill that gap. But I was not available to do pretty much anything, and I would just go on there to give him, you know, support a couple times. But Tracy, we got to know Tracy, and Tracy's a very interesting guy. Wonderful human being. Spoke very well of Travis, by the way. Absolutely, completely believed. Tracy absolutely, completely believed everything that Travis said happened. But yeah, thank you for that comment. He'd definitely love to be here. Maybe he is here. Who knows? Maybe he's here in spirit. Thank you for that comment, Gab.
Interpretation of it. Was it just a vicious attack, and all this pain I was experiencing was just torment? But no, I think I did something unexpected, foolish, got myself injured, and that they actually saved my life.
Well, that must help ease some of your memories a little bit too, right? Was there a turning point, maybe psychologically more than anything, where you felt like you can cope with this and go on and have a normal life?
Yeah, and you know, some of that residual fear and pain happened later when I was with my son and a girlfriend, and we encountered a huge object, and he says, "Dad, should we pull over and take a picture?" I said, "No." And I'm so disappointed in myself. You know, it was so grand, it was so unmistakable. And the only reason I even talk about that, because I don't talk about anything I can't prove, was that there was a group who were gathering reports, and there was like 15 other people who saw what we saw, described it the way we saw it, and didn't know each other. Right. So it was huge, and flew from a great distance to us at an extremely high rate of speed, stopped right over the top of us. And it's hard to imagine that's just a coincidence. They didn't speak to me or say hi.
They were checking up on you.
Yeah, but it does seem unlikely that it was an accident, that they, in a city the size of Burbank, that they would stop right over the top of us and then proceed at a different angle from that point.
Did you ever get any kind of feeling of why they did what they did? Any resolve there?
Yeah, I kind of.
Absolutely, Bradley. It's much easier, much easier for Travis to discuss this. It's much easier for us to have a discussion about it. It's much easier for these two guys. By the way, these guys do this. I want to learn more about what these guys do on this Unknown show. That seems like these guys are doing a pretty good job. So we're gonna check these guys out and see what other kinds of stuff they're doing. But I absolutely agree. Thank you for that comment, Bradley.
Figured out something later that perhaps it's a theory that perhaps.
Oh, one more thing. Before somebody asked why is this coming out now, and it's because it's been 50 years. Let me just turn that back a sec.
Why they did what they did? Any resolve there?
Yeah, I kind of figured out something later that perhaps it's a theory that perhaps they were looking for something that's formed when lightning strikes the earth. It's a rare mineral formation that you can't get any other way, but it's called fulgurite, when I first heard about this, I looked it up, and there's these really strange crystals that are formed when these millions of volts hit the ground. And I learned that the part of the Mogollon Rim there has the highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the United States outside of the Everglades. The Everglades has a higher lightning strike frequency, but that's pretty high.
So there's something to it.
It's just a theory, but
yeah.
What else would they be doing there? Certainly, I don't think it makes sense that they were there to capture some foolish logger running at them.
Yeah, it's not like they're reverse snowbirds or anything, right? They're just hanging out in northern Arizona.
Well, we're about to go into a break for a second, and then if we could really want to talk about what those 50 years have been like, telling your story, how many hundreds of thousands, thousands even times to go and obviously relive some of the most terrifying.
All right, let's just see what he
Con 20,000 puedes comprar tu primer
talks
piso,
about.
alquilarlo y generar.
Let's see what he talks about with regards to that.
A spacecraft back in 1975, and he's sharing his story with us today. Mr. Walton, thanks again for being here.
Well, thank you for hearing this.
Absolutely. 50 years ago last month. And again, as we've already discussed, our predecessor at Fox 10 was Cool TV. And 50 years ago, as the story was happening, we had a crew there talking. First, we already played the clip with your brother, Dwayne. And then, of course, the state also talking about some of the results with the...
Yeah, they were very fair too. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, one of the parts was 6 months later, you sat down with one of our reporters at the time to tell your story. And listening to it, it's incredible just how the story has not changed in those 50 years. But we have that, if we can play that clip right now.
Most Arizonans are quite familiar with Travis Walton's story. After sighting the UFO, he approached it and claimed he was taken on board. The 6 men with him all passed lie detector examinations regarding the incident. Travis has undergone all sorts of testing and has stuck to his story.
I couldn't focus my eyes very well, but I looked beyond the top edge of the thing that was laying across me, and I saw 2 men leaning over me. They weren't really men. They were a lot like they were not like men, but they weren't quite human.
Mr. Walton, I couldn't help notice you.
So I think, just to be clear, I think so. It has been 50 years, and I think Travis is in his early 70s right now.
Or is struck by you almost struggling to get that story out. It must have been still emotional at that time.
It was very difficult to talk about. Yes. What really helped was the hypnosis that I underwent from Dr. James Harder. He put me in. I hadn't even been able to tell what happened, not even my brother, until that hypnosis. And the technique was to have me describe what happened as a spectator rather than as the person experiencing it. And that really helped a lot. From that moment on, I was at least able to describe what happened. I've come to a different position about these beings and their purpose here. Initially it was the boogeyman. It was terrible. It was something to terrify people. And I wasn't retelling the story in order to scare people. As time went on, my willingness to talk about it was to put the event in perspective. That it's inevitable that in a universe so vast, literally millions of galaxies, not just millions of stars, millions of galaxies. You look out there and you see the Milky Way. That's one galaxy, our galaxy. I mean, so many of those points of light are entire galaxies. They point the most advanced telescope we have at the most empty spot in the sky, and they see more galaxies of age far, far millions of years beyond what human beings have been around for. So it's absurd to think the naysayers are actually advocating that humans are the only life in the universe. And it's inevitable that there's other life. As a matter of fact, astronomers have even increased. There's something called the Drake equation. It's the number of planets out there. They've increased that because they say virtually every star has about a dozen planets. So it's the ones that are not too close to the star, getting too hot or too far out, or too cold. The ones in the middle range, there's going to be a considerable percentage of those that have support life. And how much older than us?
Goldilocks zone of good life is as according, at least as far as we know it, right? Thank you, Bradley, for this comment. Even people without contact demonstrate shock maladies with realization. The easy cover-up may offset the safety of shock and realize terror associated. Oh, battery's going. Thank you, Bradley, thank you, my friend. And we're almost done. We're wrapping up now, so you didn't miss much. You're not going to miss much. Take care. Thank you, Bradley, for those comments. And let's finish listening to this.
We're younger. I mean, there's probably cave aliens out there, but those are not the ones that are coming here.
And it's been said that you'd have to think we're pretty arrogant to think we're the only living things in the entire universe. Yeah.
And we need to get comfortable with that in order to give ourselves a perspective about the factors that make us make war on each other.
As you've been living your life and what you've seen through the decades, do you feel as if now there is a push to search for these answers, where people are seeing things? We obviously have our phones. Everybody has a phone in the pocket, a camera to document some of these things as they're witnessing them. But do you feel that the present moment is more receptive to a story like yours compared to 50 years ago?
I do. I think the reaction is much better, and even conventional news outlets, forgo the little chuckle at the end, because I don't believe that all reports are sightings of alien beings from other worlds. I think to a very large extent people misidentify things, but there's a solid core of events that are definitely glimpses of life from other worlds.
Now that is a very important comment from Travis here. That not everybody, not all sightings are legit UFO experiences. There's a lot of people misidentifying stuff, and then of course the experiencers have to. It's interesting because Whitley Strieber has asked so many times in his book. He's asking himself. He's asking, God, the universe. He's asking. Sometimes he's asked whether this experience is real or not. Is it real with the experience that he had? Is it something else? Is it because there's an element of surreal to it, right? Of being surreal. He's a strong man who had survived this experience and the aftermath of his story being told. He is a strong man. Thank you, Thomas. Listen, very great admiration for Travis and what he's been through and a tremendous amount of ridicule that he's been through, right, guys? All right, let's listen to the last piece, and we're going to wrap this up right here. Wait, some of the original footage, just this last piece of original footage.
Okay, there are some people in this town who don't believe your story.
Yeah, they don't tell me that to my face.
How do you respond to that?
I want to be believed because that is my reputation, and it is people's attitudes toward me through my life. When he was hit by the beam, well, we took off, went up the road here.
That's the question. Why'd you leave?
I think if you'd have been here, you would know that. We left because it was such a thing to happen. I don't know how to explain it. It was just very frightening. And saying Travis get knocked down like that was by something that we'd never seen before. And I guess you just say fear of the unknown.
That, once again, is the story. Whether you believe it or not is your business. What they saw in this clearing was to them a UFO. Jim Ryerson, Cool News 10, in the Sitgreaves National Forest.
As you watch that clip with that young man 50 years ago telling that story, is there anything you wish you could tell him that if he was listening to be able to hear it?
1 second. We're going to listen to that final response from Travis.
Yeah, definitely. The things I've discovered and described to you, that helps me to understand that what happened wasn't a representation of the pain and fear that I was feeling, that was incidental to some foolishly risky acts on my part.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, did you get a lot of attention from government officials on this afterward? What did they want to know?
I think they knew it happened. They have satellites. They probably observed the whole thing, and they had nothing to say because the original position of the government was, no, there's no such thing. But that wasn't gaining them any credibility. It was losing them credibility. So they decided, okay, we're going to concede. We're going to show gun camera footage of these craft.
And so that's interesting. That's an interesting, and we're going to leave it here because we watched large portions of this, but I want you guys to be able to go and rewatch the rest of it and complete the complete interview. So good to see you, Mr. Ricard. Guys, this is wonderful to have you guys all here. This is a great discussion. I think that so much respect for Travis Walton. We don't know him personally. Our friend Tracy, of course, did, and lots of respect for Tracy. Again, you guys hadn't been here at the beginning. Tracy, our friend Tracy Torme, who was the son of Mel Torme, the singer Mel Torme. He was a writer for Star Trek. He wanted to bring back Sliders because he was a producer and writer on Sliders, that wonderful show Sliders. Interesting that Tracy would dedicate that whole show to interdimensional stuff. Very interesting. Anyway, very open-minded guy. Tracy was very open-minded guy. Very open-minded guy. I did not know him very well, but we definitely interacted many times, and very kind, and we're starting to be friends when he passed. So It's too bad because we were going to have him on. We wanted to have him on, and all of a sudden we heard that he had passed. He kept things to himself, and we didn't realize that he was in that bad shape. And so anyway, this reminds me of the mystery concerning Area 51. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my friends, I want to thank everybody for being in here, and Wallace and Tommy and Manhands, James Manhands Ricart from Seinfeld, and Thomas and Bradley, and everybody who's been in here, Tommy, Lady Mist, Gap, so many friends in here, Angular Boys, Maz, go check out her music. All these other Crystal, all these other people in here who have been in here, Tessie, all you guys, everybody who's been in here. So thank you guys. That is as far back as I can go. And many, many blessings. Yes, the Velvet Fog. The Velvet Fog. Tracy passed away way too young. So guys, many, many blessings to you guys. And we are, we'll be back talking about, actually, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about, we're going to come back and talking about underwater bases. And we're going to be back talking about personal growth. Very, very soon. This week, we'll be back. So stay tuned. And guys, enjoy the new year. Many blessings to everybody. And it's going to be a great 2026. You are going to have a great 2026. The year is going to start very well for you. And you're going to maintain that momentum throughout the whole year. So guys, stay positive. And stay on track with positive and wonderful thoughts. All right, guys. We will be back very, very soon. Maybe tomorrow. Might be back tomorrow. Stay tuned.